Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of That's in the Bible. So guess what? I'm super excited about today's lesson. You know why? Because it has soap opera written all over it.
We do have.
I mean, I was never one that watched soap operas because clearly I was too little when they were out, and now I work during the day when they're on. So
as sands through the hourglass.
These are the days of our lives. But this story today has the makings of a really good soap opera. So you've got two people, Saul and David, right? Saul gets super jealous of David and several times tries to hurt him, kill him, get rid of him. And then you have David who's just like, yeah, okay, whatever, because David didn't actually deserve anything. It was literally Saul who was just jealous. Jealousy caused Saul to act like this, okay? So you've got these two guys. You've got a cave, a really secluded, secret situation. And then you've got Saul and David. Ooh, I can't wait to hear this one, Jamie. All right.
Yeah, so we are in 1 Samuel chapter 24. And like you said, Saul has essentially put David into hiding.
Yes.
So David is hiding in a cave. And it says, so Saul took 3,000 chosen men from Israel and set out to look for David. An epic game of hide and seek going on here.
Right.
And David and his men. And he came along the sheep pens along the way, and there was a cave. And Saul went in to relieve himself. Okay, quite a string of bathroom stories here. David and his men were far back into the cave.
Okay.
And the men said, "This is the day the Lord spoke of, when he said to you, I will give you your enemy into your hands for you to deal with as you wish." So David crept up close to Saul and cut off a corner of Saul's robe.
Oh.
Afterwards, David was conscience-stricken for having cut off a corner of his robe, and he said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I should do such a thing to my master, the Lord's anointed." Because remember, Saul is a king anointed by God for this role.
Okay.
So David recognizes that role. "Or lift my hand against him, for he is the anointed of the Lord." With these words, David rebuked his men and did not allow them to attack Saul. And Saul left the cave and went away. Then David went out of the king and cried out to Saul, "My Lord and my king." When Saul looked behind him, David bowed down and prostrated himself with his face to the ground. And he said to Saul, "Why do you listen when men say David is bent on harming you? This day you have seen with your own eyes how the Lord delivered you into my hands in the cave. Some urged me to kill you, but I have spared you. I said, I will not lift my hand against my master, because he is the Lord's anointed."
Okay, so could we just talk about a couple of things here? Because as that was unfolding, I'm thinking to myself, David, you had so many opportunities.
Yeah.
And in
the vulnerable.
I was gonna say, and in the human sense, he picked on you, he was mean to you, he was all because of jealousy,
and because he was listening
silly.
And because he was listening to falsehoods.
Yeah.
I mean, Saul was listening to people who were saying David's out to get you, and David's going, there's no such story about that. You're not even listening to the right people.
So David could have gotten back. He could have taken things into his own hands. He could have said, dude, you're dead in the cave, done for. Or all the other opportunities, he could have taken him out. But instead, he cuts part of his robe, to prove that he was that close that he could have just taken him out. But then God comes in and says, David, don't hurt him. He's, still my anointed. So David didn't end up taking things into his own hand, because he knows that God always protects and takes care of his people and those who follow his will and do his work.
In fact, during this time, while David was in hiding, is when he wrote some of the Psalms that we have today. And so one of them is Psalm 145. And it's a longer psalm, but part of it is, verse 8 says, "The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, rich in love. The Lord is good to all. He has compassion on all he has made." Which you might recognize from some songs we sing occasionally in church. And so even parts of our liturgy talk about how God is protecting us, even during this time when David is on the run and in the ultimate game of hide and seek. God is protecting him. David recognizes that the Lord's hand is at work and is patient to let the Lord deal with Saul rather than him.
Well, because we always see that it does happen, even though time and time again we always try or always think we know better and take things into our own hands. We see that even in this situation where Saul made David's life a living heck. I mean, you can't even, he could have just taken him out, but no, David listens to the Lord, and he recognizes Saul as still the master and leader, and remains faithful.
Yeah, David remains faithful, and God handles Saul in the time that was necessary.
I mean, I think I'd have to change my mind though, and now say that this isn't really a soap opera, because I don't
Had
think,
too happy of an ending.
I don't think in the soap opera there's definitely death or something that was going to befall the enemy or the wicked stepmom.
It had the makings of a good soap opera.
It did, but then
not
he
the ending.
spoiled it. So. It's still in the Bible, but not as my way of thinking.
Not as
a
juicy.
Good soap opera would have ended. So, all right. Well, have a great week, and we will see you next time on That's in the Bible.
That's in the Bible?